The first team offensive line is my first point from the game. Like, it wasn't a perfect performance per se, and they obviously didn't play that long. They played longer than Patrick Mahomes. He rightfully played like 5 snaps or whatever on the first drive and got pulled. But I noticed something positive like every time those guys were out there. Trey Smith was moving people around. Lucas Niang stood out a couple times. One of them, he kind of got beat, but then recovered super well, which his mobility is always going to be somewhat of a concern. People, you remember the overreaction to him coming into camp looking overweight or whatever. I just think
Mhm.
he's a big dude who was never a extremely crazy athlete. Orlando Brown's the same way. They're both big guys who don't move quite as well as some of the finesse tackles in the league, but when it comes down to it, they're fundamentally sound and make stuff happen. So a limited sample size, but it's hard not to look back on that first quarter and kind of the different looks that they were doing. They were running the ball quite a bit, established it early on. They were generating some push. They were generating momentum. They looked solid. Hard not to look back without being optimistic about the future of that group.
Yeah, seeing Clyde's first carry was for 10 yards. I was just like, oh man, this is a great first sign. And that was when I was waiting in line for the chicken. So I was just getting this, I was like pumping my fist literally as people around me were like looking like, what's going on? I was like, oh, Clyde just had a nice run, no big deal. But yeah, that just got me excited because then, that just shows the offensive line is ready to roll. And yeah, it's fun seeing three young guys out there. And Creed, Trey Smith, and Niang all getting the start. And, that's, you love to see it because they're going to be here for the next 4 or 5 years before they get that next contract. Hopefully they could just keep getting better and better and we can keep all of them together for as long as Mahomes is here. That would just be the ideal, situation. So we'll see what happens. But man, it was a great start.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the thing I talked about with Connor. I believe it was Connor. It might have been Sam. It was probably both of them. But getting those guys out there early that are going to play together for probably the next 3, 4 years, like you said, if those guys win, meaning Humphrey, Smith, and Niang, it says more about them than it does about the competition they're facing. Like Andy Reid's notorious for not starting rookies like that. So if they get the spot, that means they deserved it. So if the Chiefs week one roll those three out now, the Mike Remmers back injury kind of did open the door for Niang, and the Kyle Long LDT injuries open the door for Smith. But the point stands, Smith was going to get the job anyway. I truly believe that he was that impressive. And Niang, he was better than I thought in a limited sample size again. But if Remmers is injured, that's going to be 3 rookies back to back to back on the offensive line, which they're going to have a tough test early on against the
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns, then Baltimore, I believe, the week after. So it's interesting, it's intriguing, it's scary, but it's also exciting, I think.
Yeah, it's much better, especially than what like I have friends that are Chicago Bears fans, and they're just absolutely terrified about Justin Fields maybe starting with that offensive line that they have there. So yeah, it's good to see the Chiefs have two veteran Pro Bowl offensive linemen on the left side protecting Mahomes, and then you've got the young guys on the right side who are maybe going to have some lumps, but they're going to be in there. They're going to be doing their thing and they're going to be out there still, I think, doing a good job. They looked like they were solid in the first game and they're only going to get better as the season goes.